Hello everyone and welcome to Dad's Do Dinner. Thank you for joining us. It's very exciting to be here today. It is me, Chris Zackley. I'm back. Hope you've enjoyed your end of term things. We've been dragged hither and thither for some sort of, I don't know, presentations and awards and everything else. So I hope you've all had a great time finishing off the summer term. And I'm looking forward very much to the summer holidays, and with that in mind we're going to be doing a bit of cooking, and I'm very glad that you can join us today. There's quite a bit going on today, so you might want to get a notepad, but no pressure. You can follow my video online in your kitchen, and that's the benefit of doing start to finish on my recipes every single time we film. So thank you again for joining us. Shall we have a look at what we're cooking today? Great. So before we have a look at the ingredients, just letting you know that this is totally optional. Today's dinner is called Bogus beef and blue cheese pie. And the reason why it's called Bogus is because we're not actually having any pastry, which might seem weird, but you can use pastry if you want to and make it into a pie, but I'm not going to make a pie, I'm just going to make the filling, if that makes any sense, because we're not having carbs. Well, no, we're not having carbs. Yeah, so we'll work from there. So that's why it's Bogus blue cheese and beef pie. I'm going to stop talking. Let's cook. Let's have a look. So we've got some ingredients today. I have chosen these beef medallion steaks because aside from the fact that they were about £3 for 2 steaks, they are wonderfully versatile, great value for money, and from our favourite Schmesco, thank you for zooming in, my glamorous assistant, and look, there's just hardly any fat in these whatsoever at all, so I'm very excited about using those. And they're great. You can pan fry them, you can barbecue them, you can put them in a sauce like we are today, and as long as they're sort of reasonably cooked over, I don't know, half an hour to 45 minutes, they should be really nice and tender once you're finished, which is really nice. We're going to shove some mushrooms in. These are just left over from a barbecue we had the other day, so no button mushrooms, just nice. We've even got half a pack of parsley to use as well, so we're going to shove some of that in. I've got an onion, we have the blue cheese, so a big shout out to my friend Rachel, thank you very much for the Rochefort. It's going in today's dinner, so I hope you enjoy when you watch. We've got some salt and pepper, we've got some garlic, we've got some beef stock, we've got some maple syrup because we don't use sugar, we've got some Marmite, and we also have 50 grams of corn flour to make our sauce base out of, and we also have 500 ml of water. Ta-da! Council pop, lovely. I went for 50 grams and 500 ml, so it's easy to remember, because I know some of the feedback we had was that for some of the sauces and the bakes it's probably a bit easier to get some measurements. That's totally fine, so I've done that for you today. So let's give it a go. I'm going to chop the onion up first, get this going. For those of you who've never chopped an onion before, I think we mentioned it in one of our earlier videos, if you keep a nice flat surface to the onion and then you slice down and then slice across, it helps keep those enzymes which cause crying down on the board rather than up in the air. So keep that nice and flat, and then we'll get the mushrooms cut as well. As I said, you can use any mushroom you like. I love these flat portobello mushrooms, I think they're fab. Nice and chunky, and they hold their shape pretty well as well, but I'm probably overselling a mushroom here. It's probably a bit too much info, but there we go. I love them. And button mushrooms are really lovely as well, and chestnut mushrooms, just be careful because you pay generally a bit more for chestnut mushrooms than you do anything else. So let's get our pan heated up to get these softening up. While we do that, let's take a look at what other stuff we've got on the go over here. So I mentioned that today's recipe was Bogus beef and blue cheese pie, and again, just to remind you, the reason why it's bogus is because we have no pastry. I don't know why I'm saying pastry like it has to be from the north. As my friend Chris, who's recently subscribed, tells me, there's nothing better than a pint in a pie. So this is for you, Chris. This is a pie without pastry. Ooh. So we're going for no carbs with this one, optional carbs. So actually our mash is going to be made out of carrot and swede, and I have bought this from the car that rhymes with Mazda because it is so cheap to buy pre-made carrot and swede now. I think a bag costs 80p, and that will feed 2 to 4 people absolutely amply. And then here I've got some broccoli, some cauliflower and some really nice cabbage to have with our dinner. And look, no potatoes. See, now I'm being racist, sorry. Not all potatoes come from Ireland. I do apologise, Rachel. So let's get this on our glorious Tristiara cooker. Let's get this zhuzhed up to a nice full temperature so we can get the vegetables frying off very nicely in there. I'm just going to chop those in. You'll start to hear them soften up anyway, and we'll add a bit to that as they get softened up. In the meantime, let's go back over here. Remember, if you're using the same board to chop everything, make sure you do all of your vegetable products first, including any herbs you want to use, and then you do your meat absolutely last of all. Alternatively, you can use two different boards. I have a red board for meat and a green board for veg, but that's just my background in food technology, which we discussed on our Dad's Do Dinner Live. Thank you very much for everyone who came to that. So let's get this parsley chopped up. You can throw this in with the veg because it's we're only softening up the veg, to be honest, because I want to save all the nice juices for the sauce. Get that in there, lovely. Good. Right, meat. As I said before, beef medallion steaks are super easy. Oh, that didn't work. So we're just going to use these ones today. Obviously, if you want to use Aberdeen Angus or whatever other beef you fancy, go for it. These are just such good value for money, and go really nice in the slow cooker as well if you prefer to do this in the slow cooker. Knock your socks off. Just going to cube this up. Remember, this is a fake pie mix, so if you want to put a pie lid on this, get a pan, buy some ready rolled puff pastry from any supermarket you like. It is super cheap, a pound usually, and that is literally all ready to go. See how lovely and quick that was? Most important thing, we must wash our hands in between every single bit that we do, because otherwise we might poison someone, which we don't want to do. So let's get this going. Our trusty spatula. What did you do to my spatula, Mrs. F? Oh, I've got the... nothing. Yes, you did. You melted it. How dare you? But that's okay, because we like bent. It's alright. So, let's get this softening up. The reason why I'm softening up the veg first is because the meat outside will cook very fast indeed, and we only want to achieve that really nice golden effect around the beef, which again, for those of you who came on the course a few weeks ago, it's called the Maillard reaction. I've just lost a mushroom. There we go, back in again. The Maillard reaction is the chemical reaction that happens to surface molecules of the meat, which give it that lovely golden caramelized brown effect. So we'll just get that going in there and softening up. Lovely. Don't worry about making it too soft, because the juices out of these vegetables will come out into the sauce and make it really tasty. So I'm going to shove the meat in now, get that browned off, and then we're going to switch it off. That's what I said. We're going to brown it off and switch it off. So get the meat to the surface in your pan. Yes, this is a wok. Sorry, cooks. It's just nice and big, and I like big. Quickly toss this meat off. And nice and brown. See how the surface has already gone brown? That's all I want you to do. Brown off just each side of the meat. And there we go. What you can do to add flavour at this point, if you want to caramelise this a little, that's your choice. I'm not going to today. I really want all the natural juices of the meat and stuff to come out, and I don't want too much of that really nice raw flavour to get lost in the frying process. So literally that is, you see how it's all gone brown on the outside? I'm going to stop it there. How long did that take? A few seconds? Seconds. Right, most important when you're cooking, have a drink. I've decided to have wine today because I have no kids. Also, look what I have procured. It is, look at this beautiful, beautiful goblet. I went with my parents and my wife to Hampton Court Palace recently, and I just thought this was beautiful. Do you want to zoom in on that? How gorgeous is that? Isn't that a work of art? My wife and my mum bought it because I couldn't afford it, and I absolutely adore it. So hopefully it won't become too obsessed with it. Look at the lions on it and everything. It's amazing. So cheers. Salut to you. And remember the rule. Remember the rule. What did we do last time? Big glug for Chris. Little splash for the dinner. That's it. Don't waste good wine. Actually, this was a special offer from Mazda. It's a good job we don't use cars in cooking, because I would have sold quite a few Mazdas by now, I think. Anyway. Right. Should we prep the sauce? So, just shove all this to the staging area. Right. 50 grams of corn flour. You can use sweet potato flour. We have used that before. That's entirely your choice. Okay. What we need to do is mix up this flour with some water. Take your 500 ml of water. Don't add any extra. You do not want too runny a sauce, because as we mentioned before, all of the juices are going to come out the mushrooms and the onions, and that will be plenty, plenty, plenty. Do you know what I might do? I might bring the pan over here. Yeah, should we do it? Risky. Right. Board. Pan. Look at this. Zhuzhing it up, people. Zhuzhing it up. Right. Flour and water should all be nicely mixed together now, which should prevent any lumps in your sauce. So, let's get some salt in. 4 fingers. Is that enough? Maybe a bit more. That'll do. I'm watching all those doctors now going, salt in your diet. Rubbish. You sweat out more salt than you intake normally. But anyway, that's another discussion. Nice large pinch of pepper. Not too much pepper. You don't want to overpower it. Incidentally, if you don't want to use water and you want to use a can of beer, that's absolutely fine. Just make sure that it's 500 ml of beer. But you can use, if you want a steak and ale and blue cheese, you go for it. But obviously that'll ramp the calorific content of your sauce. Good. Right. Nice glug of maple syrup, please. That is about so many mil. Next, what else are we going to use? Oh, yes! Why am I using Marmite? Because it has got such a rich, stocky flavour. It will really lift the flavour of your sauce up. Just a teaspoon will do. Get that in there as well. Lovely jubbly. Marvellous. We've done that. What do we do next? I don't know what we do next. Bit of garlic? Bit of garlic, why not? So you need about 2 cloves worth. As you can see, I'm always so scientific. Oh, I nearly finished that as well. Drat. It's going to have to go back in the fridge. Sorry, love. Right. I can't get this lid on. Right. Next. Let's mix it all up together. Lovely. Now your stock, I've chosen to use a liquid stock or a gel stock and a solid stock. You can, as I've said before, use whatever one you want, but it has to be 2. So it has to be 2 of these, or 2 of these, or 1 of these and 1 of these. So you choose. But to get the flavour in as much as possible. If you don't have enough beef stock, that's fine. Use 1 veg, 1 beef, not a problem. But as you'll notice, this will not dissolve in cold water. And the reason being is because stock does have fat in it. That's right, ladies. No matter what you're told about miso soup, it's got fat in it. Yeah, true story. I'm going to go out and have a piece of toast with some miso soup for dinner. Yeah, well, miso soup's got vegetable fat in, girls. Read it and weep. Right. Lovely flavours now. These flavours will not mean a lot at all at this stage. especially as the stock cubes will not disintegrate until you've got it on the heat. Make sure you then add all your water at this point. And we're going to add the cheese in very lastly. So let's get this over here. Just to say, while you're cooking this, please do have these on the boil. It really doesn't matter. If you like soft veg anyway, put them on for as long as you're cooking this. Excuse me, it really doesn't matter at all. Please don't stress. If you like crunchy veg, then time it right. So 15 minutes before I say the end later, put it on. But don't stress, just have it on the background. It's not going to kill anyone, and actually, it could be really yummy. I'm going to have the cheese here in the background, just to make sure that that's ready to go. Cheers, everyone. Is everyone having a nice time? I haven't seen you guys for ages. I've had some really nice messages on Facebook, actually. Thank you. It's really nice to know that you've all been in touch. Has anybody watched the episode where we did sausage casserole? Very, very similar idea with this, actually. The problem with starch is that it can be your greatest friend or your greatest enemy, and particularly in a sauce. While you've just put the heat on, can you see that? You'll probably see over the next few seconds that this ring will start to heat up. While it's sort of heating up, it's not really a threat. When you're, because most of you use gas, will have an immediate heat, so it'll heat up a lot quicker, only a few seconds more, but that does make a difference to when you're doing a sauce. So as this ring starts to heat up, gosh, that's really hot already. It's not even red. As this starts to heat up, the starch molecules will start to swell inside the liquid that you've put in, okay, whether it's beer or water. If you don't stir it around constantly, even if it's slowly, you will burn all of the dry flour, as it were. It will all sink to the bottom, and it will burn into this horrible sludge at the bottom. So in order for it to become sort of gelled up together in the liquid that you've put in, you have to keep stirring it. So it might seem a bit cliche when you see films like Bridget Jones where she goes, just stir a tuna. It is actually quite true that you do need to stir a sauce. Now we've only put 500 ml of water in this, so I anticipate this will thicken up quite fast, which is why I'm going to sort of bore you to death for a little bit before the cheese goes in. But I wonder if we can find that stock actually, because I bet you it hasn't dissolved, but it's also probably hiding. Where are you? Hello? Can't see it. It'll be hidden in there somewhere. Anyway, I can almost guarantee you that it won't have dissolved yet because it needs heat. Anywho, we're going to keep stirring. Just while I'm stirring, you'll see that parsley gives it a lovely colour. If you can't get hold of fresh parsley, just use dry parsley, it's absolutely fine. There's no difference really, other than fresh parsley will impart a bit more flavour and reduce acidity if you're using anything like vinegar or wine. I obviously put a red wine glug in here because it's just a nice flavour additive, but you don't have to do that at all, especially if you're clever and teetotal. I don't know whether you can tell, Glamorous Assistant, but can you smell that already? Give me a nod. Just give me a nod. Which means that this is heating up quite fast. So I need to keep this as gently but cleverly stirred as possible, because once it's thickened up, it's going on the lowest heat possible, which we normally call a bare blue on gas, barely blue, and it's going to have the lid on it, and then we're going to leave it to cook everything slowly in for about half an hour. But we'll obviously need to add the cheese in as well. Once we've I'm going to show off now, watch this. I'm going to try and stir this and open the Rochefort at the same time. Again, thank you to my friend Rachel for this lovely Rochefort. Apparently it comes from it's been made by the sweat and tears of young French boys. No, I'm joking. I don't know, it might have been, who knows. But apparently it's very expensive and very desirable, so thank you, Rachel, that's lovely of you. Gonna get this stirred up now. Once all the sauce is thickened up, it should go a bit clearer than this sort of cloudy brown colour, and you'll know then, especially as it starts to stir differently, that you'll be ready to get the cheese in. But the cheese, the garlic, the beef stock, oh my word, it's going to be so nice. And as I said, you can use this in a pie filler if you want to, and if you just literally buy the ready-made puff pastry roll, you can just literally lay it on top of a pie dish or a baking tray if you want to, and just trim around it, and you're all good to go with a beef and ale pie or beef and cheese pie, whatever you want to decide to do with this recipe. And obviously you've got your vegetables on the go at the same time. Right, now here we go, the magic is happening. So the water will stop sloshing and it'll start moving with your stirring apparatus. See the difference? It's now thickening up really, really, really well now. There we go. I'm going to ignore the onion on the side because I'm more concerned about the water and the flour combining and all that starch bursting out of the flour molecules into the water to make this lovely sauce. Fabulous. Yes, look at this. See the difference? That's not water anymore, is it? Nope. Lovely jubbly. Right. Once your sauce has thickened up really nicely, you'll know as well because it'll start bubbling like this. Can you see that okay? Great. Turn it down to barely blue, or 1 on electric. Keep stirring it for a little bit just to help it cool down. And then we'll get the cheese in, and all of these flavours over the next half an hour are going to combine so deliciously that even if you put it in a pie or just kept it as we are as a bogus pie, I promise you it's going to be such a yummy dinner. And actually we're not having it with potatoes because we had potatoes for lunch, and we're not having it with, we're not having it with pastry, we're not having it with Yorkshires, we're just having it as it is in its glorious flavours with vegetables that God gave us. And yes, we'll take it from there. Right, this is cooling down quite nicely now. I've turned it down. There's no water left in there per se, as water would be. That is a sauce. So let's get some of this nice cheese in. I'm going to use about 100 grams, but you put in as much as you like for flavour. And I'm using Rochefort. If Rochefort's too expensive, please go ahead and use anything you like. Danish Blue is often on special offer if you want to use Danish Blue, and of course Stilton, being thoroughly British myself, is always a lovely choice of mine, so please use Stilton if you want to. Oh look, I didn't cube it up. How will I cope? I don't care. I'm going to just leave it in there. I'm going to put a lid on it because if I like it, I'm going to put a lid on it. Get it? Oh dear. Anyway, that's dinner. We're going to leave it for half an hour. We're going to serve it up with our boiled veg. I'm going to mash up the swede and carrot into a really nice mash, put it out on a plate, and we'll show you the photos and the finished articles later. Thank you very much for joining us. It's so great to see you all, and hopefully we'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye bye for now.